SMELLY'S in town, and I make it every other MC look like a clown. Amouage, Montal, Tom Ford, and Aventus. They try and tell us not to spray too much, but can't prevent us. I may be over 40 and my hair may be receding, but when it comes to the ladies, then I'm always succeeding. Niche fragrances flowing from my atomizer pump. I'm getting more attention than President Trump. How much the ladies flirt will determine what I sweat. When 2 hours go by, then it's time to reapply. I'm looking for the juice that'll make the ladies loose. I expect their lips to flutter when I spray that motherfucker. I want strong fragrances and not reformulations, and I'm taking my case to the United Nations. My name's Mr. Smelly and I'm stinking out the place, and if you don't like it, then get out of my face.
Hello everyone, welcome to my top 10 spring fragrances. Into spring then, it's a great time of year, it's an optimistic time of year, the horrible cold winter's going away, and so we're looking for fresh fragrances that are not so much the heavy, deep ones that we might think are winter appropriate, and I'm just looking for ones that conjure up the image of spring in my mind. Obviously you can wear anything, any time of year, but I'm going to leave out the really fresh, super aquatic type fragrances, the Neroli Portofinos for summertime lists. Okay, so I'm going to cram in a few honourable mentions here, and so the first one of those is going to be this one. It's from Dior, and we don't hear a lot of talk about this in fragrance videos. It's Dior-Eau Sauvage, the original Eau Sauvage from 1966. The reason I'm putting this as an honourable mention is because mine is a vintage version from, I think, the 1980s. I got this box recently, and obviously the box doesn't look like that now, although the bottle nowadays looks identical. This is a splash version, and the formula has changed. The new one does smell very, very similar to me in the opening, and I haven't really tested it, but the consensus is that the new one is a little bit weaker in performance, so maybe just shy of being in my top 10. But the original is a wonderful, wonderful citrus eau de cologne type fragrance with some really nice herbal, maybe chypre type elements in the base. So really deep, long-lasting dry down on this one, but retains that fresh, zesty citrus element throughout, and it's absolutely underrated. Way better for me than the current Dior Sauvage, and a fantastic choice for spring. If you can get the vintage one, try the new one too, and if you find performance okay, that's also a good choice. Okay, next honourable mention, it's going to be Dolce & Gabbana Pour Homme, the made in Italy version. This one, everybody says the reformulation is no good. If you can get the old version, made in Italy, Euro Italia, by the with the one with the sticker on it, then that's the one to go for. I've picked up 3 bottles for reasonable prices on eBay recently, so it's not that hard to get, but it is discontinued in this formulation, therefore doesn't make my list. Fantastic fresh scent with, I think there's mandarin and some of the usual bergamot types top notes, but in there there's also some nice herbals, there's sage, and there's a little bit of a honeyed sweet tobacco note in the base of this one. It's perfect for spring because it's very fresh, it's very masculine, and yet it does have a little bit of a woody depth, making it almost signature scent year-round worthy, in fact. Well, it is actually. But to me, if you said one season to be reminded of by this one, it is spring, and this 1994 release is an absolute classic if you can find it in its old formulation. Third and final honourable mention then, it's going to be Le Barbier de TANGER from the house of MDCI Parfums. This is the twin in name, I guess, to Invasion Barbar, which is another really popular barbershop one. And Barbier de TANGER means the barber of Tanger, a city in Morocco. So this one is a fantastic barbershop scent, very dry, woody, vetiver kind of theme with this one, with some lovely lavender and other herbal notes, and also a pineapple note with some other citrus stuff in the top. I've put it in a little sprayer here. I love the smell of this one. Absolutely spring, like that, fresh out of the barbershop, old-fashioned feel. Very expensive, and I don't own a bottle, but I've got 4 12ml little samples that the company do, which are good value, and I've decanted most of them in here, so I've got about 50 mils. Great fragrance. Okay, so let's get into the top 10 proper for spring 2017. So here we go. Number 10, it's going to be this one, Armani, but it's not Acqua di Gio Profumo. Everyone's talking about that one. I think that's okay, but I prefer this. Armani Eau Pour Homme. And this one is a fantastic citrus scent, again, as many of them will be, but with a lot of woody, masculine depth to it as well, and some lovely herbal notes. So it opens really fresh and sparkly. invigorating, but it's also got a little bit of that old school oak mossy type of feel to it as well. I think it's completely fine to still wear it in the modern age. It doesn't smell dated. It's not like some of the real old school Fougeres, Coros or anything like that. This is a really fresh, nice fragrance that was released in 1984 and looked forward perhaps to the modern era of fresh citrus scents rather than back to the 1970s and 80s heavy powerhouse type stuff that was going on then. So really nice fragrance. This is actually a vintage one with the black bottom and top. The new one actually smells remarkably close, and the consensus that I've seen out there is that you can go with the new one where it's just the same but with a silver top and bottom, and it does still smell very, very similar. Maybe performance is just a bit lower, I don't know. I think the new one is fine to go with, and it's a sensational, underrated scent, perfect for springtime, masculine, signature scent worthy, all year round maybe, but again, does suggest the season of spring to me. Lovely fragrance. Okay, next up we're going to go with the House of Chanel, and it's Chanel Allure Homme Edition Blanche. This fragrance is really one of my favourites from the Allure line. I used to be really into Allure Homme Sport, which is also a good signature scent, maybe summery scent. This one is described as a lemon meringue cream pie. Does smell a bit like that. I definitely get the lemon, and there's some nice cedarwood and maybe some Chanel aldehydes in there. Really classy, fine smelling fragrance which has sweetness, a lot of citrus freshness and a little bit of woody depth, making it perfect for the springtime. And nice performance on my one. Mine is the Eau de Parfum recent version, but I think that the concentration perhaps hasn't changed. It's just a change in the way they're marketing it. Number 8 then. Okay, now the order doesn't matter much here. The numbers, positions, they could be very interchangeable. But anyway, for what it's worth, number 8 I'm putting DUOR Fragrances. And this one is Water of Arabia. This is a copy or clone of Silver Mountain Water from Creed. The reason I really like this one is that it does indeed smell a lot like that fantastic scent, but that one doesn't have the greatest performance, the Creed one, and this one has exceptional performance. It honestly does. I've used quite a bit of it. I've been wearing it a lot. It's extract de parfum. It lasts ages and projects really well. It gives you that bright citrus bergamot aspect that you get with Silver Mountain Water. The feeling of water flowing down a Swiss mountainside is skillfully evoked in both the original and this one, but this one lasts longer. It has a little bit less of the tea note, I think, that you get, but maybe a bit less of that inky thing that people talk about in Silver Mountain Water. This just does a little bit more of the fresh element and hangs on to that throughout the life of the fragrance. So it's a great choice for springtime. It would be fine in summer probably too, but something about that, the image of the Silver Mountain in Switzerland makes me think, when I wear this one, of springtime, and one of the best that I've tried so far from DUOR Fragrances. Okay, number 7, this is a really under the radar scent that I'm very excited to bring to you, is Bowling Green from Geoffrey Beene. Geoffrey Beene Bowling Green, the people behind the infamous grey flannel, bit of an old fogey scent some people think. This one is a superb aromatic fougere with a citrus opening. There's lime and lemon notes in the beginning and a fantastic fern, foresty kind of feel underneath that. Very masculine, a little bit old school, but not as old school as some things. I recently reviewed DIOR-EAU, which has a nice fresh citrus opening and then goes very much towards Coros, animalic territory. This one doesn't have that, but it has that oak moss type of thing, and it was released in 1986. Mine is the current EA formulation. Seems absolutely fine to me. So brilliant, brilliant spring-like fragrance, masculine, a little bit old school smelling, but not dated to me. Reminds me a lot of Acqua de Parma's original Colonia, which is getting a little mention later in the video. And for a really cheap price, if you can get it, it's not the easiest thing to get it. I did get it really cheap, but it just seems to be in short supply. Look out for Geoffrey Beane's Bowling Green. It's like opening a can of Sprite in a pine forest. That's the best description, and that to me is what I want to do in spring. So of course, let me know what you're thinking of my list so far, or when you get to the end. Are these fragrances panty droppers or fragrant floppers? Let me know what you think. So now it's time for number 6. This is Pineapple Vintage from Parfums Vintage. I'm going with the classic original version with the white packaging. This or the noir version would be great for spring. The difference is this one has a slightly more accentuated pineapple note, the other one a little bit more smoke. Both still have a very strong pineapple note, and to me this is reinventing or reimagining Creed's Aventus with a sharper pineapple element, and I find that exciting. Performance for me is great. There are other things in this fragrance too. It has the vanilla, it has the blackcurrant fruitiness, apple, bergamot. It's got all of that, but it doesn't smell exactly like Creed Aventus. It's its own thing. It's extremely sexy and masculine, I think, but very, very fresh. Ladies love freshness, and this one has a wow factor. So for me, Pineapple Vintage, number 6, I really will be wearing this a lot and have been already, even at the end of winter. Now we're on to position number 5 in my list, and my choice for that one is going to be Dunhill Icon. This is one of the best designer releases of the last couple of years for me. It came out in 2015. It opens with a blast of neroli. You've got a lovely black pepper note. There's juniper, sort of fruitiness in there, vetiver woodiness. But so much more interesting and classy than other things like DIOR-SAUVAGE, which may be roughly in the same category of when you'd wear them. This really conjures up the image of a well-groomed man in spring. The bottle is brilliant. It's fresh, it's woody, it's got a little bit of a barbershop feel, but it does feel very contemporary as well, and it's a superb choice for the springtime. I'm going to be rocking this one a lot, and I do have a backup bottle, so that shows I must love it. So number 4, reasonably recent acquisition for me, is HOUBIGANT FOUGERE ROYALE. This fragrance was first released back in the 1880s, I think. Obviously it's been changed many times. It was reissued in 2010. Before that it wasn't available for a while. This is, some people say, the ultimate fougere or aromatic fougere fragrance. We've got a lot of fern-like smells. That's what fougere means. There's lavender in here, as you would expect. It's kind of a barbershop fragrance. We have coumarin, the tonka bean compound that was isolated for the first time by HOUBIGANT to produce this smell. It's a really refined, classy, masculine, mature scent. It does have some citrus in the opening, but it's not really bursting out with citrusness. If straight from the start, it's a little bit of a deep, rich masculine freshness, if that's possible, and it really does seem appropriate for springtime. Again, probably all year round, but if you had to say one season that's suggested by this fantastic fragrance, I would say the eau de parfum here, Fougere Royale, is a really classy scent for upscale occasions, maybe even casual wear. It really is excellent, and I highly recommend it. Coming in at number 3, now any one of these could have been number 1. I'm going with this one, MANCERA CEDRAT BOISE. What a wonderful scent this is. Often compared to Aventus, but it's a little bit similar, but not by no means a clone. So this MANCERA fragrance has lemon replacing the Creed pineapple note. Underneath that there is also some blackcurrant, which we also get in Aventus, but there's a lot of other stuff in here, differently accentuated. A fantastic fruity sweetness. The vanilla in this one combined with the blackcurrant gives us a really nice fruity sweetness that is not only sweet but fresh at the same time, and the cedarwood note in there is brilliantly done. So it's very, very likeable. It's going to be popular with other people. It smells fresh, but it's got beast mode projection. It's fruity, woody, a little bit sweet, and a little bit fresh, and it really has this fantastic aura that it creates around you. Go easy on the trigger with this one. It is one of the real beast mode performers, and then that's great for a spring scent, and I absolutely love this one. So MANCERA CEDRAT BOISE. Number 2, this will be top of a lot of people's lists. I'm going with Creed's Green Irish Tweed. Some people call it spring in a bottle. It's hard to disagree. I know it's a cliche, a lot of people put this in their spring list, but it has to be there because it's so true that it's an ideal spring scent. Lemon verbena, we've got Creed's ambergris, we've got sandalwood. Some listings have peppermint as well, so that's interesting. Lots of fresh stuff in there, not really out and out citrus stuff though. It's more of a green freshness, and it really does make you feel like a very refined gentleman every time you wear this. It is spring in a bottle for me. It performs really well, and it has a little bit of a backward looking feel, somewhat nostalgic, but it never feels dated or inappropriate today to wear it. So superb stuff. Green Irish Tweed, only number 2 for spring. So what's number 1? It's time I told you. My number 1 fragrance for spring 2017 this year, I'm going with ACQUA di Parma Colonia Essenza. This is my favourite from the ACQUA di Parma Colonia line. It has some neroli in there, a lot of different citrus stuff, grapefruit, mandarin, or is it tangerine, that kind of stuff. Anyway, then there's some patchouli in the base, there's rose, and there's musk, so there is depth to this one. It's got a little bit of masculine depth, and that's why I'm going for it for the spring favourite for me, because not only is it fresh and very likeable and clean smelling, and really a fragrance that encapsulates that feeling of Italian chic, but also it does have this nice performance on it from some of the deeper, richer ingredients like the patchouli. It lasts a long time, it projects really well. It would be a great signature scent. Conjures up the image of an Italian well-dressed man going out for a meal in May evening somewhere in Italy. One of my absolute favourites, a real 10 out of 10 fragrance, Acqua di Parma Colonia Essenza, my number one for spring. I could have picked loads from Acqua di Parma. The original Colonia is really good, a little bit more old-fashioned and soapy smelling. It was more florals maybe, and Colonia Assoluta also is excellent, and that one a little bit more modern feeling than the Colonia original, but very close to it. This one has more depth though, and that's why it's my favourite for spring. I could have picked a whole load of Creeds and Acqua di Parma, but I stuck to one. That's my top one. What's your favourite fragrance for spring? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks very much for watching. Remember, whatever we're doing in life, let's project.